100 battles. 100, and they hand me a set of walls and the harbour chain and call it an honour. Broederports. I have wintered in worse, but never for so little reason. A commander of ships that never sail to war, guarding a door no one has knocked on in 10 years. Put out to pasture and told to be grateful for the grass.
Sir Keel, forgive me, I did not mean to intrude. I can come back if...
No. Speak, it's all right.
The accounts, sir. The port tallies and the supply ledgers. They are finished. Every entry checked twice, as you asked.
Good. That is good work. If I am to be kept here, at this quiet door, then let me at least do something with the quiet. I have spent my life learning war, from the inside of it. Its truths do not survive in songs. When I am gone, they go with me, unless someone sets them down. Would you help me write again? Not tallies, what I have learned. Something that might be of use to the kingdom when the next war comes, as it always does.
I would, sir. Gladly. Truly, there is no work I would rather do. Might I ask, would you begin with your own story? How you came to Broederports? I think, if others are to trust the lessons, they should first know the man who learned them.
You have a scribe's instinct for where a thing should start. Very well. Set it down, then, from the beginning. The Order of War. Within Neokosmos, dictated by Sir Keel Folke, transcribed by Marijke van Daal. Introduction. My time. Warring against the Picts, I am not a scholar, nor do I pretend to be one. I was not raised on books or arguments, but on drill yards, watchfires, and the sound a man makes when he realizes he will not see the morning. What learning I possess was paid for in mud and blood, and I trust it more than ink copied from another man's memory. This book begins with my last campaign beyond the northern line of forts that guard Fresnia. The Picts had been raiding our border villages again, taking cattle, tools, and sometimes people. Such things are not unusual to them, but Fresnia does not allow such games to continue unchecked. We do not trade in warnings. We trade in lessons. I led a company of 80 Fresnian knights and men-at-arms with 100 horses. 10 of the men, the youngest under the guidance of the oldest, were tasked with returning the horses once we reached the meeting ground deeper in Pict territory. Horses are of little use in broken hills and deep woods, and worse than useless if they betray your movement. The Picts raid each other as often as they raid us. It is not merely strategy, it is culture. My task was not conquest, but instruction. Fresnia was already stretched thin. Many men were committed elsewhere, some hunting ruins within our borders, others sent abroad, chasing that damned elven mirage, while patrol strength suffered for it. We moved light, fast, and with intent. Our march north went unchallenged. That should never be mistaken for safety. Pictish scouts are not seen when they are doing their work properly. After a fortnight's advance, we reached our allies, the Boar tribe, led by Chief Talon. The Boars are mercenaries, and not loved for it, but they are honest. Talon himself was respected as a warrior, even by those who despised his trade. We expected 300 braves. Instead, we found nearer twice that number, warriors from surrounding tribes drawn by rumor and opportunity. When I questioned Talon, he shrugged and suggested we hire them as well, lest they be bought by the Night Fury tribe instead. I told him I had brought no more gold. He shrugged again and proposed a share of the loot. Since we planned to burn or scatter more than we could ever carry, the logic was sound, if brutish. The additional braves agreed readily. Our own scouts fell back, allowing the Boers to lead. If discovered, it would appear a common Pictish raid. We reached the Night Fury camp without challenge. Our attempt to force the gate raised the alarm, but we withdrew cleanly, taking cattle and captives from beyond the walls. That was enough to provoke the Night Furies into sallying forth. They pursued. We withdrew fighting smoothly, drawing them into ground chosen earlier. The allied braves struck their flanks while my company took the gate amid the confusion. What followed was close, ugly, and loud. The Night Fury Reserve attempted to retake the gate from within while their fleeing warriors crashed into us from behind. My men and I fought back to back. I nearly died there. A Night Fury chief, large even by their standards, struck my sword hand and disarmed me. I would have been finished if Talon had not taken him from the side and split him open. I felt relief and shame in equal measure. Talon laughed it off afterward. "I need you alive to make sure I get paid," he told me. "And a warrior like you shouldn't have his story ended here." I was taken to a tent while our nurse worked on my hand. I kept it, though I will never again hold sword or pen with it. I leave the details of the Night Fury camp's fate to others. Know only that the lesson was delivered, and the cost of raiding Fresnia made unmistakably clear. When last I saw Talon, he was leading his men away, slaves in chains carrying the spoils behind them. Not long after, I was assigned to Broederports. An honorable post, they said. Perhaps it is. The neck of a kingdom is still worth guarding. I am unlikely to see true battle again, and I suppose that is fitting for a knight who can no longer fight. With the help of my scribe, Marijke, I have chosen to spend this time setting my knowledge in order. If I cannot wield a blade, I can at least leave behind a clear accounting of the armies that shape this world. It is better than counting ships and filling ledgers at any rate.
Marijke's notes, I have written this exactly as Sir Keel dictated it, though my hand shook more than once. He speaks of these events plainly, as if they were no more than patrol reports, but I cannot help thinking of the courage required to stand as he did. I am honored he named me at all. I fear my letters are unworthy of the deeds they record, yet I will do my utmost to keep his words true. When he spoke of nearly dying, he did not pause, but I had to. If this book serves any good purpose, I hope it is that others may understand what sort of man Sir Keel Folke is, even if he himself would never say it.
2. The army of King Frederick. 1 will begin plainly. Fresnia's armies are outnumbered by their principal enemies. The Ruestrian Empire could bury us in numbers if it wished. The Pictish warbands, taken together, could bleed our borders dry through constant raiding. That we still stand, and at times strike back, is not due to chance. There are reasons for it, and they are worth understanding. First, the defenses of Fresnia are strong, old, and well placed. Our fortresses are stout works, usually within marching distance of one another, often raised atop hills or sound ground. Fresnia does not deserve credit for their founding. Long before our banners flew, Atlantis colonized the Gulf and understood its value. They built to control it, and we are fortunate inheritors of that wisdom. The second point follows naturally from the first. The Gulf itself is wholly under Fresnian control. It is not merely water between shores, but a road that cannot be intercepted by our enemies. Through it, men and supplies move faster than any army marching overland. Time and again, elite companies have been ferried from one end of the kingdom to the other, arriving ready to fight before our enemies know they are threatened. Third is the foresight of King Frederick. Superior men, armed and armored beyond the common standard, can defeat forces far larger than themselves. Geometry and numbers matter, but steel matters more. By equipping his knights and men-at-arms better than any neighbor, the king ensures that when Fresnia strikes, it strikes with weight. These advantages allow us to concentrate elite troops rapidly within our borders, beyond enemy sight, and bring them to bear where they are needed most. To understand the army fully, one must begin at its base. Fresnia is too broad for any one man to govern directly, even one as capable as King Frederick. Dukes oversee stretches of the Gulf, holding choice demesnes with good ports and fertile lands. Beneath them, counts rule the border counties, each commanding between 1 and 3 fortresses. The quality of local troops varies with the wealth and diligence of their lord. Most counts rotate men from quarries, dig sites and fields into service. These fortress men spend as much time repairing walls and hauling stone as they do training or standing watch. Nearly every count retains at least one knight or man at arms to command and train these troops. Discipline flows downward from these few professionals. Fortress men are typically armed with spears, maces, or hand axes. Their signature weapon is the Atlantian crossbow. Though born of advanced design, it is simple enough to be made with common materials and is widely produced throughout Fresnia. It is easy to learn, quick to load, and deadly in practiced hands. Every fortress worth the name bristles with them. Armor among these men varies. Gambesons are common. Chainmail is rare. More often, one finds jacks or brigandines made from scavenged plate, some of it ancient Atlantian stock. Most wear the Fresnian kettle helmet, which offers solid protection for its cost. Above these stand the ducal forces. Dukes typically maintain 1 or 2 companies of elite troops, knights, men-at-arms, and squires. These men are trained from early years in lance and longsword, though many favor weapons of personal preference. Chainmail is the minimum. Many wear plate armor, often reforged and fitted from recovered Atlantean pieces. A handful of master armorers in the capital can still produce new plate, though at great expense. These troops survive longer due to their protection, and experience hardens them into a veteran corps. Mounted, they can shatter enemies with disciplined lance work. On foot, they fight as a loose whole, swords and shields overlapping with practiced ease. Movement of these elite forces is typically handled by warboats. Based on Pictish longboat designs but larger and reinforced, these vessels are fast, rowed by dedicated crews, and capable of delivering soldiers where they are needed with little warning. The king himself maintains several of the most veteran companies of knights and men-at-arms. These men are trusted to meet major invasions and decisive engagements. They are equipped with the finest arms available and supported by larger galleys capable of carrying 5 full companies with cavalry and supplies for prolonged campaigns. At Broederports, at the mouth of the Gulf, lies the deep-sea navy. 3 great galleasses anchor there, formidable ships built not to dominate the seas, but to make any attempt at blockade costly. Fresnia cannot hope to defeat the fleets of Ruestria or Alnhama outright, but it can ensure that closing the Gulf would come at a painful price. Finally, there is the Fresnian Guard. These knights protect not only the king's person, but also relics and ruin sites of old Atlantis. Selection into their ranks is an honor beyond most. It was a distinction I once hoped to earn, before my injury made that ambition impossible. New among the king's household guard are figures not clad in armor, but in heavy robes marked with symbols I do not recognize. The cult of the Kraken has grown swiftly in the capital, and it appears His Majesty has chosen to place a measure of trust in them. I record this not as accusation, but observation. I have seen these robed men walk freely among the guard, and on more than one occasion give orders that were obeyed without question. There are rumors that such men can command flame and water, though I have never witnessed such displays myself. I do not traffic in tavern tales. Still, it is difficult to ignore the change this represents. The Fresnian Guard was once the pure expression of martial honor and duty. That they now share their charge with agents of a growing cult is a matter worth noting, if only so future commanders may judge whether this choice strengthened the kingdom or compromised it. Such is the army of King Frederick, smaller than its enemies, but sharper, fewer in number, but quicker to gather, reliant on old stone, old water, and well-forged steel to keep the kingdom standing.
Writing this section made me uneasy. I had never thought about how few men truly stand between our homes and those who would take them. The numbers are smaller than I imagined. Sir Keel speaks of fortresses and fleets as if they are fixed things, but I now see how much depends on men like him choosing to stand where they are told. I feel safer knowing this, and more afraid. If the kingdom endures, it is because Sir Keel and men like him carry so much.
3. The fleet and militia of the Alnhaman Republic. The Alnhaman Republic is a mercantile power first and last. Its strength does not lie in fields or fortresses, but in hulls, sails, and coin. Where Fresnia builds walls, Alnhama builds ships. The merchant circle appoints a small number of admirals. These men sell commissions openly and fund their fleets through a mixture of private investment and port taxes. It is an efficient system, if not an honorable one. Warships are built quickly when trade is threatened, and just as quickly neglected when profit returns. Crews are drawn from volunteers, pressed sailors, or taken directly from merchant vessels at sea. Discipline varies greatly by ship and captain. The Navy commands fortresses around major ports and maintains chains of watchtowers across the islands, allowing them to see danger long before it reaches harbor. At sea, the Alnhama Navy fields dozens of high-castled carracks built specifically for war. These are supplemented by many galleys suited to coastal fighting and raiding. They excel at controlling trade lanes and punishing pirates, and are dangerous in confined waters. Most sailors receive some training in ship-to-ship fighting. In battle, they are armed with pikes, knives, and whatever heavy objects can be used as weapons. Belaying pins kill as well as swords in close quarters. Armor among common sailors is rare, as weight and water are poor companions. The true fighters aboard Alnhaman ships are the ship's men-at-arms. These are professionals, and dangerous ones. They board with heavy shields, sea-axe blades, and boarding axes. Their armor is typically a gambeson, chosen so it can be worn in tight spaces and does not become a death sentence when soaked. Iron caps, often worn with wool hoods, protect the head without hindering movement. Some ships employ longbowmen, but rarely in great number. Space is limited aboard ship, and archery is less decisive amid rigging and spray than it is on land. On the islands themselves, militias are kept separate from the navy. Local counts and merchant lords outfit and maintain these forces according to their means and customs. As a result, their quality varies wildly. In most regions, longbow training is common. Archery is treated as sport as much as duty, and many militias consist of longbowmen supported by pikemen. It is a potent combination when properly drilled, and a valuable supplement to any garrison. Wealthier lords often hire mercenaries to stiffen their forces. Many also keep small circles of household knights within their inner quarters, as much to protect themselves from their own hired men as from outside threats. Alnhaman knights are generally regarded as inferior to those of other nations. Training is inconsistent, Armor rarely exceeds mail, and the title itself can be purchased. As a result, knighthood is often granted to loyal friends rather than earned through valor. This produces predictable results on the battlefield. In summary, Alnhama is strongest where ships rule and weakest where lines must hold. Against unprepared enemies at sea, they are formidable. Against disciplined armies on land, their strength is less certain.
I often look out to the sea from the fortress walls and imagine the ships Sir Keel describes. The sails come and go endlessly, carrying more people and goods than I can count. I would like to see the world from the deck of such a ship one day, though the thought of the open water makes my stomach flutter. Still, it must be wonderful to travel so freely, even if it is dangerous.
IV. The Legion of Ruestria. The Ruestrian Empire is the greatest military power in the known world. It is also Fresnia's most dangerous rival. I do not write this lightly nor with hatred. An enemy poorly understood is an enemy already winning. Ruestria does not rely on passion, lineage, or sudden heroics. It relies on structure. Every province maintains its own body of soldiers, raised locally and loyal first to their land and ruler, but ultimately sworn to the empire. These troops are organized, equipped, and regulated by imperial statute. Recruitment and upkeep fall to landholders under provincial oversight. Numbers vary widely. The heartland provinces field vast bodies of men. Frontier regions maintain fewer troops but keep them in constant readiness. These forces are known collectively as the Oste. They are not elite soldiers. They are something more dangerous, competent, disciplined, and numerous. The Oste serve as frontier patrols, early warning forces, and garrison troops. They provide missile support and skirmishing elements in larger campaigns and form the backbone of supplementary forces attached to imperial or ducal armies. Their arms are practical. Spears are their primary weapon. Javelins are common, as are slings armed with stone or lead shot. Armor consists mainly of padded or quilted protection, with mail shirts appearing among those of richer or wiser provinces. Small round shields and banded or segmented helmets offer basic defense. They fight best as light infantry and defensive formations, harassing, softening, and delaying an enemy before heavier forces engage. Above these stand the Chevaliers de Dox. Each dukedom maintains powerful cavalry formations under the direct authority of its ducs, funded jointly by the imperial treasury and ducal lands. These formations represent the prestige and coercive power of the provinces. When assembled, they number in the thousands. Their roles are clear: shock assault, rapid response to border crises, suppression of rebellion, and decisive pursuit of broken enemies. These are not casual nobles riding to war for glory. They are professional soldiers, trained from youth, drilled relentlessly, and equipped at immense cost. They fight with heavy lances and long swords. Their armor consists of chainmail, reinforced with banded mail across the chest, supplemented by partial plate at the arms, shoulders, and legs. Heater shields and full nasal helmets protect them, while tabards bear ducal or imperial colors. These are true mounted knights, bound not merely by personal oath, but by imperial command. At the heart of the empire stand the Legions Imperialis de Ruestria. Each legion numbers approximately 5,000 men, maintained at full strength and loyal directly to the emperor. They do not garrison provinces. They march only when the empire itself goes to war. Command rests with the emperor or with generals appointed specifically for a campaign. These legions form the main battle line in major wars. They conduct sieges, break elite enemy formations, and hold ground against superior numbers. Their training is constant. Their cohesion is exceptional. Legionaries are armed with short swords and large shields. Armor is standardized, banded and chainmail, supported by nasal helmets. What sets them apart is not their equipment alone, but their structure. Each legion fights in a 3-rank system. The first rank, the Jetters, engages with javelins, disrupting formations and targeting exposed troops. Behind them stand the Guard lances, wielding long spears with hooks to counter cavalry and protect the line. The third rank, the Breeze Hyomes, advances with warhammers to destroy heavily armored foes at close quarters. These ranks rotate forward and back with practiced efficiency, allowing the legion to adapt without breaking formation. It is this discipline, more than strength, that makes them fearsome. Alongside these forces operate the Paladins du Sol Eternel. Their numbers are unclear, but range from dozens to perhaps hundreds. They usually act alone or in pairs, hunting those deemed sorcerers. At the order of the cult, they may join armies to counter magic and shield forces from arcane threat. Such men would be invaluable if Fresnia were ever to truly breach the Veil of Veletasia. No accounting of Ruestria's military strength would be complete without mention of its navy. The Ruestrian fleet is not supreme upon the high seas, nor does it rival the merchant navies of Alnhama in scale or reach. That said, it is a mistake to dismiss it. Ruestria maintains dozens of galleys, well-crewed and purpose-built for war. Their captains favor close action and do not seek long engagements of maneuver. Instead, they aim to turn naval battles into land battles fought upon decks. Boarding ramps, climbing grapples, and heavy infantry formations are employed to seize enemy vessels by force. In these conditions, Ruestrian discipline tells. Even the powerful ships of Alnhama are wary of operating near the Ruestrian coast, where such tactics are most effective. While they cannot command the open sea as Alnhama does, the Ruestrian navy is sufficient to threaten Fresnia's home waters. In force, they could challenge Broederports itself and attempt to force entry into the Fresnian Gulf. This has not yet been done. That it could be attempted at all is reason enough for vigilance. Ruestria's strength lies not in dominance, but in pressure. They do not need to rule the sea, only to make it dangerous. Command within Ruestria flows through blood and belief. The imperial family and ducs rule by heredity, but all remain bound to the cult of Sol Eternal. With cult approval, they appoint legion commanders and knightly leaders. Frontier commanders are appointed in the same manner, though in smaller regions, the Order of Sol Odalis may select officers directly. This unity of sword and sun is the Empire's greatest strength and its greatest danger.
It is difficult to imagine an army so large and so ordered. The thought of so many soldiers answering to the will of a cult unsettles me. Yet as Sir Keel spoke, I did not hear fear in his voice. I heard respect. That comforts me more than I expected.
V. The fearsome Pictish warriors. The Picts are barbarians. This is true, and pretending otherwise helps no one. Yet it would be a grave mistake to think them crude or foolish in war. They fight as they live, hard, close to the land, and without patience for long peace. There are enough tribes, each with its own customs and methods of killing, to fill a volume on their own. I will not attempt that here. What follows are observations earned through years of campaigning against them. What binds the Picts together is not unity, but habit. They raid because it is expected. They fight each other as readily as they fight us. War among them is sport, trial, and harvest all at once. Fresnia does not face an army when it faces the Picts. It faces a tide. Central Picts, Along our northern borders dwell the forest tribes, the boar, the viper, the whitemoor, and others of similar temper. These Picts are adept at small war raids, ambushes, and skirmishes fought beneath heavy canopy. They field many braves and a few champions of real renown. War is a seasonal pursuit to them, returning every summer as reliably as planting. They are lightly equipped. Most wear no armor at all, favoring axes, javelins, and spears. The more successful warriors scavenge armor from fallen foes, wearing mismatched mail or plates as trophies rather than protection. In war, they paint themselves in tribal colors, fierce enough to unsettle young soldiers who mistake noise for strength. Mountain tribes. The mountain tribes, such as the Night Fury and the Zemri, are kin to the forest clans, but harsher in manner and habit. They are more brutal, more secluded, and far less inclined to bargain. While forest tribes have served the kingdom as mercenaries when coin was offered, the mountain tribes have never been approached in earnest. They favor slingers in addition to axes and spears and wear heavy furs against the cold. Why they choose such an unforgiving land is unclear. My belief is that they were driven there generations ago by stronger or more numerous tribes and learned to survive where others would not. Northern tribes. Farther north dwell the seal cutters and the frostblood. These tribes are better equipped than their southern kin. They wear woven fur and shark skin armor and fight in tighter formations. Pikes and heavy mauls are common among them, and they field accomplished archers as well. These are dangerous foes, not because they are numerous, but because they endure. Cold and hunger that would break other men seem to sharpen them. Eastern coastal tribes. Along the eastern coasts range the Black Oar host, the Stormwake Reavers, and the Driftwood kin. They raid shore communities, slipping in under cover of darkness in small boats. Pikes and maces are their favored weapons. Armor is rare. Cloth and shields preferred for freedom of movement. They are more mercantile than most Picts and will trade with passing ships. Those they do not attack, at least. This makes them unpredictable and thus dangerous. Western and Boreal tribes. The far western tribes are less well known. Sightings suggest that mountain tribes range there as well, implying similar temperament and methods. To the northeast, across the Boreal Passage, are tribes stranger still. The Bear tribes field light infantry and many powerful warriors. Strength and endurance are prized above all. Armor is scorned. Scars are counted as badges of worth. The Thunderhood tribe is the most curious of all. They fight from chariots, one driver and two riders. Feathers and hides are worn, and the riders are said to be women, armed with javelins and bows. The driver dismounts to fight when needed, then retreats to the chariot to withdraw. I have not faced them myself, but the reports are consistent enough to be believed. Finally, there are the Shadowfang. These Picts are unlike any others. While scouts going unseen is common among the tribes, the Shadowfang move entire bands without detection. They fight with short blades and use poisons carried on darts. They are an unsettling foe, and one I hope never to meet in strength.
I dislike even the stories of the Picts, though I feel safe within the fortress, and safer still knowing Sir Keel stands watch. I remember nights at home when every sound beyond the fields set my heart racing. I still fear for my parents and pray these wars remain far from them.
V.I. The bizarre Veil Wardens of the Elves. There is one people in Neokosmos who appear to possess no army at all, the Elves of Velatasia. Despite this, even the mightiest armies of Fresnia keep their distance from elven lands. The Picts no longer approach them at all. This alone should tell the reader what sort of threat we are dealing with. Velatasia is surrounded by what is commonly called the Veil. It is not a wall, nor a fog, nor a storm, though it behaves like all three at different times. Winds shift without warning, forests appear where none should be. Paths fold back upon themselves. A traveller may swear he sees a woodland ahead, only to find himself standing once more at its edge moments later. This may repeat until the intruder grows lost, exhausted, or mad enough to retreat. No blade is drawn, no arrow fired, the land itself refuses entry. Reports of elves encountered beyond the veil describe them as quick, elusive, and clever. They are capable of shaping smaller versions of the veil at will, using it to escape or misdirect. Few have ever been caught. There have been many attempts, far too many in my opinion, to force entry into Velatasia. Experienced knight companies have been sent again and again, often when our own borders were strained. None have succeeded. There is no recorded successful raid into elven territory. Those elves who are taken are rare. They are usually encountered beyond the veil for reasons unknown, or found repairing what are believed to be weaknesses in it. All such captives are sent immediately to the capital. I do not know what becomes of them. An army that does not march, does not muster, and does not fight, yet cannot be approached, invaded, or punished, must still be counted among the powers of the world. The elves have mastered defense without soldiers. That should trouble any commander.
I find it hard to imagine the elves as dangerous. Sir Keel describes them as small and quick, and I cannot help thinking of them as almost cute. It makes me wonder why the kingdom troubles them at all. They seem content to be left alone. Still, Sir Keel would not speak so carefully if there were nothing to fear.
The Nth, the lost but never forgotten. Armies of Atlantis. The armies of Atlantis are gone, but they must not be forgotten. Even in the earliest records, the Atlantean hosts stand apart from anything that came before or after. Their soldiers were taller and stronger than any men now living, armed and armored in metals that did not rust, tarnish, or yield to blade or arrow. They fought with a power the Picts could never match, and with a discipline of which even the Ruestrian legions are only a faint echo. Against them, resistance was not measured in victory or defeat, but in how long one survived. Their fleets were no less fearsome. Great ships clad in armored hulls, as knights are clad in plate, carried Atlantean force across the seas. With them, Atlantis struck where it wished and withdrew when it pleased. No coast was beyond reach, no harbor beyond threat. As their dominion spread, the Atlanteans drew soldiers from across the world. Under an Atlantean banner, one might find men of many lands, bound by oath or tribute. These common soldiers were our ancestors, fighting in wars whose purpose they may not have understood. In later years, earthly power no longer sufficed. Atlantis turned to creation. I hesitate to call what followed men. They brought forth beings of many sizes, from no taller than elves to larger than the greatest Atlantean warrior. They bore scales and sharp teeth, and are remembered now as the so-called lizard men. These creatures were drawn from forgotten corners of the world, and by all accounts, many wished they had remained forgotten. The lizard men fought with weapons fashioned from strange black stone, sharper than steel. Axes, spears, and clubs studded with cutting shards served them well. Their armor was their own scaled hide, though some were favored with Atlantean equipment. It appears these creatures were intended to form the first waves of Atlantean battle lines. Nor were they the only alterations made. In that age, beasts, now known only as animals, are said to have spoken, worn armor, carried men, and fought as soldiers. The thought of flying into battle upon such creatures is both marvelous and terrifying. The ability to move men in such a fashion would be unmatched even today. I could recount further tales, but they soon pass beyond the bounds of war as I understand it. Stories of men burned from existence, of battlefields erased rather than won. Such things are not the work of knights. They are the work of gods or of those who believe themselves to be.
Half of what I hear sounds like a beautiful dream, and the other half like an endless nightmare. I cannot tell whether I should mourn the fall of Atlantis or be grateful for it. I tremble to think what we seek when we dig through their ruins and what may yet remember how to answer. I am taking some more time for my own words. Sir Keel did not ask for them, and I would never presume to place myself above his work. Still, he has allowed me to sit beside him day after day and to set his voice into ink, and I think that changes a girl in ways she cannot easily explain. When I first came to Broederports, I was glad simply to be useful. I was glad that Sir Keel Folke counted on me at all. I do not think he realizes what it means to a person like me, raised in fields and narrow lanes, to be trusted with letters and accounts inside a fortress, let alone the thoughts of a hero. Since beginning this work, I have had strange dreams, not every night and not always clear. Sometimes it is only wind and distant water, or a great dark hall where footsteps echo, but no one appears. Sometimes I dream of towers that are not like Fresnian towers, and of roads that bend in ways roads should not. Once I dreamt of a bright metal that did not reflect light so much as hold it, as if the sun were trapped inside a blade. I do not tell Sir Keel these things. He has enough burdens. Even so, I am certain of one thing. Writing all day for my knight is better than any farm life I ever knew. My hands ache, my ink stains never leave my fingers, and yet I have never felt so proud. I would rather be tired here than rested anywhere else. Sir Keel remains unhappy with the draft. This frightened me at first. I thought I had failed him, that I had missed words or ruined meaning. But he explained very plainly, as he does, that the fault is not mine. He says the work needs more research, more names, more certainty, not just what he has seen, but what can be proven. And then he asked for my help. So now, between fortress logs and ship accounts, I assist him in gathering what we can. Old statements, scraps of reports, letters from captains, merchants' notes, any small thing that might give shape to the world beyond these walls. It is quiet work, but it feels important. It feels like building something that will remain when we are gone. And if I am honest, I believe I am happier now than I have ever been.